I was trying to stay on, he went right and I went left, plonk, because I got a sore...
Bottom.
I have got a sore ass.
He just had a bit of an air about him, and he'd never raced before, and that was best made. He'd have been a show horse, a dressage horse, an event horse, anything. I suppose I was very competitive still, and I had so many lovely horses. I just was itching to train horses of that calibre myself.
Welcome back to Talk Horse.
Our gallop through the highs and lows of the equestrian world.
I'm Pippa Funnell. I've been eventing for quite a few years now, and I'm an author of a series of children's books.
Pippa's Pony.
Pippa's Ponytails.
Exactly, of which I'm a proud owner. And I'm Tristan Phipps. You may know me from Chelsea, however, there is a much more horsey animal side to me now. I am an ex-safari guide and now a horse lover and incredibly horse curious. I'm here to learn more.
I'm really looking forward to the guest today. I think everyone will be too. Seriously fascinating life she's led, but it's great to have her here in London.
Absolutely. So I'm going to be learning a lot today, Pip, aren't I?
You are.
So please do like and subscribe our pod, as we want loads more people to hear about it, and it really does help us.
So saddle up, join our equestrian community, and let's talk horse. Tristan.
Hello, Pippa.
You've just jetted in again.
I have.
Where have you jetted in this time from?
I've been in the Algarve playing golf with my girlfriend, which is actually, I've convinced her that golf is cool and she loves it now. So that's been a huge win for me this weekend.
And you didn't argue on the golf course?
Not at all, no. I had to be on my best behaviour. I knew this was my one opportunity to try and slowly welcome her to the sport. And it was great. To be fair, I did make her a few cocktails. She sat in the golf cart driving it. So, great day out.
What's her favourite cocktail? I'm not going to say S on the beach, but...
What's S on the beach?
Yeah, you know what it is. But anyway, so you had a great time.
We had a great time.
For all those listeners, if you haven't tuned in before, Tristan, I was going to say gets everywhere, but he travels throughout the world and has a very interesting life.
Absolutely, and it's not for tax reasons whatsoever.
Whereas I was jet setting.
Yeah. You've been to Scotland, haven't you? On
a plane to Scotland, to Scone Palace.
Scone. How's your Scottish accent?
I don't know.
Is that English?
Sounds, I don't know what that means.
I don't know.
Beautiful, beautiful new event. It was stunning, run by Alec Lahore and his team. They put on a huge amount, absolutely stunning setting in front of the palace, and then it backs on to Perth Racecourse, so amazing facilities for a really, really good event.
So that was a new event?
So. It was a new event this year. I think they had it some 15, 20 years ago, but it replaced Blair Castle, which was a big key venue in the autumn. So Blair, unfortunately, continued no longer. Last year was its last year, and Scone very handily took over. So it was a wonderful event. I went up there because Kento, one of my Japanese riders, he needed to get a qualification.
Yeah. I saw on your Instagram, actually.
Oh, good boy. So you even followed me.
Yeah, you influenced me. He did well, didn't he?
He did. He went brilliantly. So he's got the lovely horse that's done 2 Olympic Games now, Vinci de la Vigne, with Kazu Tomoto. He was obviously on the bronze medal winning team last year. So Kento's now got the lovely old horse to get some mileage experience. But he rode him brilliantly. But don't ask whether I had a horse and how I got on.
Did you have a horse and how did you get on, Pip?
I had Billy Wonder there, who I jointly own with myself and Ruth McMullen, my long-time coach, mentor, trainer, dear Ruth, and obviously my late mother owns Wonder. But I went up there and really delighted how he was in the dressage, because a lot of the big boys were there. Laura Collett, Laura you knew, on her top horse, London, Ros Cantor. So there was a really, really...
The first team were out.
A good, fit, strong field, and he did a lovely dressage, delighted with that, and he was right up amongst them, and he show jumped clear, great, all good. And he was giving me a great spin cross-country. And then they had these rather ominous-looking double of salmon, fishies.
The fishies, not
fishies.
Obviously
not real fishies.
Yep,
beautifully built fishies in the last water. And Sadly, he just caught a knee and landed a bit short over the first one, and they were angled, and bless him, kept going. And
did you stay on?
Tried to.
Yeah.
I stayed on long enough to get out of the water onto dry land.
That's good. Although it would have been softer probably in the water.
Yeah, it would have been, because I got a sore...
Bottom.
I have got a sore
I think we
ass.
can say bottom on the
And
podcast.
he went, as we left the water, I was trying to stay on, he went right and I went left, plonk. And
You feeling a bit...
yeah, you just don't land quite as well when you're older.
Well.
It's sort of, you land very much with a thud.
I'm sorry, Pip.
And the ground was hard. And my pride was hurt.
I'm sure not. Well, I mean, it sounds like you had a fantastic weekend apart from the minor mishap.
Yeah, the reason we went up there was for Kento, so that was brilliant. Anyway. So I'm now back to that. Don't I carry on? I'm getting
I've
too
heard this
old.
for the last year. So we know the answer. It's
Anyway,
to do I.
So now, Tristan, what about you? Because you look pretty smart today.
So I've got my Clark Kent glasses on today.
Oh, what's that?
My vision's going. No, do you like my new attire? These are probably the most comfortable trousers that I've ever worn in my life, and I took these to Portugal and I haven't taken them off. Well, I have obviously, but I've lived in them for the last few days, and they are unbelievable. They're clean. Don't worry. I think you could pull this look off, Pep.
I think for people listening, let me just tell you,
Talk them through the outfit. Go on.
You will have to go onto YouTube. I will talk you through the outfit if you want.
Yeah, I want to see you kind of match it together.
He's got some very nice navy linen trousers.
Yeah.
With no belt needed.
No belt needed. Perfectly fitting.
Nice white. Is that a cotton top or a linen top?
This is a little cotton top. We've got to match.
Or would you like? Do I need to feel it?
If you'd like to.
No, it's all right.
We've been down this road before.
It's fine. So nice white cotton top with a very, very smart navy linen jacket.
With a little white trim.
The seams are all in white cotton.
I think this is the coolest I've looked in years. So this is all original fibres.
From where?
So there's a store on Goulburn Road. There's 2 stores in London. You can find them online as well. But I think this could be a little love of mine moving forward. And I think I'm probably going to try and wear them as much as possible. And because the pod is, we are doing so well at the moment. Series 2, we're growing. I've got cue cards now. We're at that stage. This is big time.
So as I say, you've got to go onto YouTube because the cue cards have the logo.
How fancy is that?
If you notice, I actually am not holding cue cards because we've got to sort out the writing being bigger, so I don't have to wear my glasses. And I am just a tad upset because we've been doing this since December. Mm-hmm. Tristan's being given a Pony Club manual.
Yeah, but to be fair,
Pony Club badge,
you have
a
one
book.
of those as well. I didn't.
In all this series, I've got a Pony Club badge and I've got a sperm key ring.
That's not just any sperm keyring. That's the future of our planet's
And those are my
conservation.
2 gifts.
So if anyone's out there who would like to dress Pippa,
Dress me.
of course, Pip, it is 5 o'clock somewhere, and we have a very, very good-looking bottle of English sparkling wine sat on the table from Hattingley Valley. You're not allowed to touch it now. You have to wait. This is how we're going to welcome our guests moving forward, with a lovely glass of bubbles, because we're fabulous and they deserve it.
So that would be good for them, but you're not to drink too much because you'll get silly.
Actually, we've had this conversation before, and I think we all know that I'm the sensible one in the relationship.
I don't think that's right at all. Anyway, thank you, Hattingley.
Thank you.
Lee.
Now, before we open our lovely bottle of English sparkling wine, I have got a game for you. This is a new little section, and finally, I get to ask you some questions, Pep, just to see how knowledgeable you are in the music equestrian world.
I'm not knowledgeable in the music world.
Well, finally, there's something that you don't know everything about on the pod, and I'm really excited to see how many you can get right. So this is a game which we're going to call Main Stage or Main Stable. Main, obviously, main stage spelt with an AI. And then main, like a horse's mane.
Okay.
M-A-N-E.
So do I have to answer one way or the other?
You can't pass, no. It's not one of those games, no. I'm gonna say 6 names, and you've got to guess if it's a racehorse or rock band. Pretty straightforward. Okay, number 1. Chappelle Reen. Rock band or
Chappelle
Reen. Rowan.
Chapel Rowan.
Sounds more fancy.
I would. Well, the way
Chapel Rowan.
I think it's probably a racehorse.
I think you're probably wrong. It's
Wrong?
a singer. They are a singer. Number 1 album.
Well, you confused me by the way you pronounced it.
That was the fancy way of saying it. That's the pre-English sparkling wine
Should
way.
I have known that? Can you sing one of their songs?
Absolutely not. I can't know. Number 2. So 0
I
for 1.
think I'm not going to get any of these.
No,
right.
I'm expecting big things. Number 2, Night Nurse.
Well, that's what I have before I go to bed.
Better than having it in the morning.
I think that's definitely a racehorse.
Correct. 35 wins in the 1970s.
I knew that.
Night Nurse. Number 3, Flying Fox. Rock band or racehorse? Main stage or main stable?
I thought Flying Fox do clothes or...
No, that's White Fox.
Oh.
That's White
White Fox. Or do they do a chain of pubs?
What? That's none of the options.
Okay,
Closed pubs.
Flying Fox, a horse.
Yes. Correct. The last great horse owned by Duke of Westminster in the 1900s.
I knew that.
You did, didn't you? This
Yeah, I
one
did.
is going to get you. This is going to be a tricky one. So that's 2 for 3. Number 4, Arctic Monkeys.
Band. I know that.
Goodness for that.
Yeah,
That really would have...
I know that.
6 number 1 albums in the UK.
If it had been Arctic
Unbelievable.
Monkey, you'd have confused me.
I
But
know,
a
I
horse
should have
isn't
done that.
going to be called monkeys.
Can you name an Arctic Monkey song?
I can. No, I'm not. Can't.
Well, I bet that you look good on the dance floor.
Yeah, that's it.
You're doing well. You're doing well.
I've only
3
got
from 4.
one wrong.
Okay, this is a tough one. Number 5, Devon Ditty.
This could be one of those trick ones.
Could be.
A horse.
Are you sure? You're doing so well.
Yeah, you're bluffing. Yes, it's
I
a
am
horse.
bluffing. Yes, correct.
Yeah, you see,
Won 11
you're
of her
not-
24
You're
races.
not good at bluffing.
Do you not think?
No.
I'm usually quite good at poker. No, I'm not. I'm shocking, actually. Okay. Final
Last
one. It's all on this. Hosier.
Band.
Oh, there was a... Yes, correct. Have you not heard of Hosier?
Yeah, of course I have.
Take me to church.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. They just headlined Reading. Did you watch Reading over the weekend?
I've got one for you.
Okay, reverse Uno card.
Okay.
Let's go.
Madison Bear.
Beer. I matched her on Rare.
Do you know what? I think it's brilliant. Is it
Before I
beer or bear?
Madison Bear.
my-
The really attractive singer.
Oh my God, and amazing songs.
Yeah.
I really,
I'd never met
honestly,
her though,
she's
but
my
we
new person.
chatted on
She's
a dating
my
app
new.
before.
I love listening to her music. It's really,
Really?
cool. Yeah, I really like it. Really like
That's
her
so.
music.
I never would have put you and Madison together. Really? Brilliant.
I think it's brilliant. All her songs. I really am
They get you
enjoying
in the
them.
feels, don't they? Well, I think after that grand success of the game, should we introduce our new guest?
I think we should.
So today's guest is Henrietta or Hen Knight. She is best known as the trainer of Best Mate, winner of 3 consecutive Cheltenham Gold Cups between 2002 and 2004. But alongside racing, she is a breeder of the Connemara ponies and showing judge and, like Pip, an author. In 23, she returned to training under a new licence and has already saddled winners on both the flat and over hurdles, and that is very impressive. So, without further ado, shall we?
Let's talk horse with Hen Knight. Hen, welcome to Talk Horse. Welcome to London, and you've got up very early in the morning this morning to see some of your horses out. But thank you for taking the time. We're really looking forward to hearing your story, some of your views. So thank you.
Not at all. Nice
Lovely
to
to
be
meet
here.
you, Hen. Thanks for coming down. I think before we start, if I may, we've got a lovely bottle of sparkling English wine on the table. May I open it? I think Pip's been eyeing it up for a...
Well, by all means, open it, but as I don't drink.
Okay, well, you don't mind if we have a drink, do you?
No, you have a drink.
I think I'll just have a tiny little bit
Well, you've been well behaved now. Hen's here.
because I have such respect for Hen and I don't want her to get the wrong impression of me
Fine.
and feel that I'm a drinker because I'm not.
I know, in a room of alcoholics.
Exactly. You're not at all.
It's easy for you to say. I've got a bottle of sparkling wine in my hand.
It's very good. Anyway,
Well,
thank
lovely
you,
bottle.
Tristan.
my pleasure, Pip. Right, let me just get rid of that. And cheers, Hen. Thank you very much for joining us. So obviously we're on Talk Horse, and we are fascinated to hear all about your amazing career and kind of what's inspired you to kind of go down this route. But the first question we always ask on Talk Horse is, how did you first connect with horses, and what kind of led you to take on this career?
I think you're sort of born with horses in your blood if you like horses. I rode from a very early age because my mother had Shetland ponies, and we lived on a farm. And I never remember a time when I didn't have a pony or a horse around me. And I just loved them from the word go.
What was it that you loved so much about them from a young age? Was it freedom or
No, there's just something about a horse, and the fact that the wonderful horse smell for one thing, and the fact they don't answer you back, and you can talk to them, and they might nip you or kick you or something, but they're just such wonderful friends. And if anything goes wrong in life, and like when my husband died, the first thing I went was out into the stables and saw the horses, and I think they're a tremendous comfort. I think horses and dogs are the same. When we were very lucky when I trained racehorses, that we trained a horse for the Queen, the late Queen, and after Prince Philip died, I sent her a letter. She used to write me letters, personal letters, and I just sent a letter of condolence, and I imagined that it would be just in a pile of millions. And I was amazed about 2 months later to get a reply, which was a stereotype reply, but at the bottom there was a whole paragraph handwritten by her. Wow. And at the end of it all, she said that horses and dogs were a great comfort, and she'd be lost without them.
That's very wise words.
And I mean, I'll second that, because I lost my mother a couple of months ago, and the dogs and the horses are absolutely seeing me through it. And there is something where your mind just gets at one with the horses, and it takes you away from the sad situation. They really do help you cope. Now, Hen, I think it's so wonderful to have you here, because I know a lot of the listeners will very much know you for that amazing horse best mate and your amazing training skills. And we can go into that in more detail, but what they wouldn't know about you is within the whole equestrian world, how you used to event, you rode at Badminton, you were chairman of the selectors for many years. I've cantered down the centre line. You've been a judge. So just where do we start? Because there's so much that we want to hear about. So take us back to your childhood, maybe Pony Club, and then where it went from there.
Well, I suppose because I was always surrounded by horses and ponies, the Pony Club days were wonderful. And I was your typical sort of little Thelwell child, I suppose, loved the Pony Club, loved camping, which people don't do very much now, I think, with all the health and safety. The Pony Club camps are not what they were. Pony Club camps were the sort of highlight of our summer. I was quite competitive, and going back even before that, you see, I went to a day school. My mother wanted to send my sister and I to smart boarding schools, which I was not for, and went to a wonderful grammar school down the road, and couldn't wait to get picked up 4:05 and get home by 4:20 and get back onto the ponies. And my ponies, we kept the ponies in the fields round the house. And as I got older, well, I say older, I was probably only about 11 or 12, I would come back from school, and even if it was dark and raining, I would tack up my pony and go off for a ride with my stirrup light if it was very dark. And my sister would sometimes come with me on her pony, but she used to say if it was raining, she said, I think I'll imagine my ride tonight.
So how did you kind of, this passion, this love of horses, how did that kind of transpire into a career? Was it something that you knew you were always going to pursue? Or was there a moment
No,
where
not really, because the school had very much drummed into us that you must have a career. So I actually trained as a school teacher. And my sister trained as a nurse, just the two of us. And it worked rather well, though, because there was a very good girls' boarding school near us called St Mary's Wantage. And it was only 2 miles from where I lived.
Close to the ponies.
So I taught there, taught biology, which was my subject, and drove home quickly in the lunch hour, probably rode a horse. or two.
So that makes sense, though. So you've kind of got this background of teaching, obviously. Is that kind of where your style of training has come from? You've obviously always been very good.
I love teaching children, actually. I never had any trouble with discipline or anything, though. We had a lot of laughs.
It's always the best way.
And then I suppose you go from teaching children to teaching horses. And
What's harder?
We broke in a lot of horses for people, which, started them from scratch, and ponies.
Because your mother bred ponies, didn't she?
She bred ponies, and she was a very good rider. I showed her ponies, and she was a very good judge of ponies and horses.
And those were Connemara ponies, is that correct?
She started off with these Shetlands, which are the tiny things. And one time we had 60 of them.
60 Shetlands?
4 stallions, 60 Shetlands, in all. And they're so small that they get out under a lot of the fences, and they were in little paddocks. And there were always telephone calls that somebody else's garden had been invaded by one of the ponies. It was in the cabbage patch or in somewhere in the allotments, or they'd got out. They were very naughty.
So you've always been kind of breeding has always been kind of in the family.
Yes, we're breeding, always foals. They're always right from the start.
Yeah.
Played with the foals when we were children.
And then you kind of took that on yourself, as you kind of. So you were still teaching. At this
well,
point?
I breed Connemara ponies now, which are the bigger version.
What attracted you to Connemara ponies?
Because we rode them as children, and we loved riding them. My sister C and I, and I just thought they were lovely ponies. And then when my mother died, because she'd bred Connemara ponies, and I'd obviously liked them as well, but not done a lot with them when I'd started the racehorse training, I said to Terry, my husband, I've got 21 Connemara ponies here, and I know nothing about their pedigrees or anything. We'll go to Connemara and see where they came from originally and learn about pedigrees. So we went over to Connemara, and it was just brilliant. It was just every year we went and learnt so much about where these ponies are. It's the most lovely part of the world. If anybody's not been there,
forgive my ignorance. Yeah, is it not? Is it which part of Ireland?
It's the west coast of Ireland.
Yeah.
A place called Clifton is the main town, right on the Atlantic Ocean.
Amazing.
And it's so beautiful, very rugged in places, and that's where the ponies originally came from. And the people are just so lovely, because they're nearly always the same people in the same place every year you go, and they've sort of grown up with families and all their children and their ponies, and it's most refreshing. You can go over there, and I went there last week. You go there they had a huge show they have once a year, and you can go there and you can forget that the rest of the world is even happening.
Amazing.
It's the most wonderful relaxation.
Sounds like a lovely place.
And the one thing about Connemara is they're known to be really genuine riding ponies, aren't they?
They're quite naughty.
Oh, are they?
Oh, yes.
I thought
They're very, very popular.
Yeah.
Because of the size of them, they're bigger than these little Shetland ponies. Yeah. They're popular for adults as well as children.
Okay.
And everybody can ride them. And they are very good in these competitions of the show jumping and dressage and eventing. And
so is it through your Connemara ponies that you got involved in eventing originally?
Probably was, because we rode one in the pony club, all the pony club competitions and the pony club championships and everything. We had a wonderful Connemara pony. And then I traced his breeding back when I went to Connemara.
And there have been some very good event horses that go back to Connemara's.
Quite a lot of the event horses of things like Eagle Rock, who won badminton. He was part Connemara. There's some very good full Connemaras, and there's ones that are half-bred Connemaras that do big competitions.
So what took you from that into the racing world?
I'd always been mad about the racing. I used to go to the point-to-points weekends, loved point-to-pointing, watching all the racing. I used to make my own little form book out. There was no such thing as you couldn't buy anything. Nobody knew what was what, and nothing was ever put in the Horse and Hound magazine or anything like that. And I used to have my own little form book and look at the horses in the paddocks and write my little notes whether I thought they looked nice or not. And then I'd have an index, and I'd look up what such and such a horse had done the week before or where it had been. And
did you have a little flutter?
I did. I used to have my pocket money I used to take with me. And I definitely did. And have my little bets at the tote or the bookmakers. I think they thought this child coming along with a purse.
Rinsing them for all their cash.
Yes.
That's so interesting to hear that you were making notes at that age. And then you started, because you trained point-to-pointers
Yes, in
first.
the 80s we trained point-to-pointers. Well, I used to break in horses for neighbouring trainers, racehorse trainers, in my school holidays because I had plenty of time, because teachers are quite lucky, actually. I often think I wish I'd stayed at it longer, because you get wonderful holidays. And so during the holidays, I used to break in horses for other people, and then actually it stretched on to a bit further than that.
Slightly further than that.
Yes. And then I gave up the teaching and just broke in horses. Yeah. And there's a trainer near us called Tim Forster. Captain Tim Forster was a very famous racehorse trainer, and he trained 3 Grand National winners. And he used to send his naughty horses from Ireland over to me to break in. And they were, in those days, the horses were completely untouched. Nowadays, it's become so commercial that where the horses are bred, most of them are bred in Ireland, the best horses. But they're handled from a very early age, and they're quite civilized. In those days, they were just running loose, and they came over they were sort of rounded up into barns and into sheds and things when you got to see them. You couldn't get near them. You couldn't put a head collar on them or anything like that. And I remember going over there with Tim Forster, and he used to send me over to have a look at some of them. And then they'd come back, and they were completely wild. I mean, you couldn't do anything with them for days. So it was quite good training to learn how to.
What was it that you would look out for when you couldn't kind of get hands on with the horse, and you were just? Well,
just if they were nice conformation, if they're well put together, and if they were walking and trotting around, or whatever, they were probably galloping around, but. You could see and also their pedigrees. Yeah. And Tim Forster used to like to buy the most expensive ones, expensively bred ones, and so some of them he got very keen on a stallion called Charlottesville Flyer. I never remember. They were lunatics, and these horses used to come over, and you thought, oh, not another one of them. It ended up sometimes you had to make these dummies to put on the horses rather than me to start with, and I used to stuff a sack full of straw,
so you go 6 feet,
a bit like a scarecrow, and put the scarecrow on the horse before I got on it. And I thought, well, he can buck that off, but it's not going to buck me off.
The eye you have for a horse and the conformation, there's so many of them, such beautiful horses. And I know Tristan is aware of how important the conformation is. But did you learn that from Tim, or was that something you learnt from your mother with because you still have to have correct conformation? You learnt it. You
learnt it from being surrounded by the right people. What's that expression I heard the other day for the first time? Monkey sees, monkey does. So if you see something that's been picked out by an expert, you then try and do the same thing yourself. And I did have some tuition from some very, very good people. I went round horse sales with experts and learnt what was right and what was wrong, what they thought was right and wrong. And then you develop an eye. I do think probably one of the few things in life that I can say I do right is judge a horse.
So who taught you read the riding? Did you have a lot of that?
Well, I was very lucky because where we lived in the village, a little village called Lockinge.
And was that your family home as well?
Yes.
Right.
And there was a man who was retired from training called Reg Hobbs, and he had trained the Grand National winner Battleship in 1938 for his son to ride, and he'd won it. And Battleship was owned by Americans. He was 15'2", which is very small for a racehorse, jumping national fences. And his son was 6'3", and he was an amateur. And the horse was a stallion. Reg retired. He trained in Lambourne, and he'd worked a lot in America. And he retired and lived in a little cottage to start with in our village. And he persuaded my uncle, who had a large part of the village and lovely stables with sort of ordinary horses, that he'd like to break in all his horses and to teach the horses. A lot of people sent him horses to break in. And he wanted to convert an old tennis court into a jumping ring. And he'd worked in America with somebody called Ambrose Clark, who apparently had one of these wonderful schools. And all the horses in America where he'd been working, I think it was in Virginia, had gone in this school loose, jumping around this ring. And he got the dimensions and brought them back, and this tennis court was converted into a jumping ring. The number of horses that he had to break was a tremendous number. But he used to use me, not the sack of potatoes and the dummy that I used to put on my horse, but I used to get on the horses. when I was about 8 or 9, it was a question of ignorance is bliss, and I thought, this is just marvellous, I can climb on these horses. And
bounced quite well at that age.
Reg used to probably ride them for a couple of weeks first, and then he used to put me on them in this jumping school, and said, right, he always called me Pet. Come on, Pet, now we'll just go round and round here. And we're round and round, and one of them was a great big ditch on the ground too. We used to jump the poles, the ditches and everything. And it just was brilliant. I just loved it. So I learnt a lot from Reg. I used to go out riding with him on my pony. I suppose when I was judging at some of the shows, I learnt a lot from a lot of the top showmen, one of which was Roger Stack, who was a brilliant man who, he'd tell you whether you were right or wrong when judging a horse. And then when I got onto the thoroughbreds for the racing and I went round the sales, there was a man in Ireland called Pat Hogan who was famous. And he had bought a number of very good race horses. In particular, he'd bought horses for Robert Sangster, and he'd bought horses that had won top races. And he just had an eye. I mean, he could barely read or write, but he just had that eye for horses. And I learnt so much from him.
I think you're very humble. I think clearly you've learned a lot and then implemented a lot.
You just learn, don't you? Yeah. You just learn from what everyone else, what the people say.
I think that's a good time to kind of. I'd love to know more about Best Mate. Obviously, you had such massive success at Cheltenham, the Gold Cup, winning 2002, 2003, and 2004. That's 3 consecutive wins, which is amazing. Let's talk about Best Mate first. Did you know that Best Mate was going to be a winning horse? What was there something special about him?
Terry Biddlecombe, my husband for 20 years, was the most brilliant judge. Not only was he 3 times champion steeplechase jockey, but he was also a very good judge of a horse. And in those days, you could go to the point-to-points in Ireland and pick out horses that you liked in a race. And Terry would watch them intently with his race glasses, and he would run around the courses and watching them in the pre-paddock. And we went on this day, this very, very muddy Sunday in County Waterford, and it was so muddy your boots nearly fell off when you walked through the mud. And this horse came into the pre-paddock, and he just had a bit of an air about him. And I think there were about 15 runners in the race, and he'd never raced before. Oh. And Terry said to me, "There's only one horse I like in this race." He said, I watched that one. And that was Best Mate. And he ran in the race, and he pulled up. Terry watched him intently. He says, "He'll do for us. We ought to go and try and buy him."
Wow.
And we went to the owners, the Costello family, Tom Costello. And he wouldn't sell him. He won't sell anything ever until it's won a race. So we sort of put our mark on him. And the reason he pulled up was he was just having a bit of practice rally. About 3 weeks later, he raced again and he won. Right. And we were the first person at the door. And we managed to secure him. He was a beautiful horse. He'd have been a show horse, a dressage horse, an event horse, anything. He just had the most marvellous temperament, and he was lovely looking. He was a real athlete.
He was. I'll second that, because I remember, because it was over actually time when I was having success, and I'll never forget him, because he just, like when we talk, sometimes those superstars, they can jump out at you, can't they?
Do. And even later when he walked around the paddock at the race courses, he just had that look at me.
That X factor.
I know what I'm doing. I just, here I am.
Yeah.
Enjoy me.
And then can you talk us through watching Best Mate win his first Gold Cup?
Well, I don't really do much watching. I had to watch.
Like this?
I'm not very good at watching.
Yeah, what's it like? It must be very nerve-wracking.
Well, people always have this idea that I go and shut myself up in the ladies' loo, which I've never done in my life. But I do walk about.
Yeah.
I like sort of walk about and sort of half listen and half
I've seen Pip
glance.
do it when Williams jumping or
Yeah,
something else
it's
going on.
nerve-wracking, isn't it?
Nerve-wracking, isn't
Really
it?
nerve-wracking. And because you're not in control of the situation, because you're not riding the horse, I think it's different if you're riding a horse because you're in control.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
And it must be very difficult. I mean, standing still's the worst, isn't it?
I must admit, even training now in my job of coaching, I get very nervous watching people that I help. More so nearly than riding myself.
Yeah, again, I guess it comes back to that control moment.
So I did watch it because I thought, well, the only place I could watch it would be in the press tent at Cheltenham behind the weighing room, because it was hardly ever anybody in there. It was the old press tent, and the witch who was me and one other person, I think. I sat in there and watched it, and then I'd come running out. And then
would Terry be with you, or he was watching?
We never watched together.
Right. Really?
No.
He went, potential domestic.
He went down. Of course, he knew Cheltenham very well because he won a lot of races there. And he'd walked the course and done everything. And he knew exactly where the right ground was and how Jim should ride him and so on. He'd give all the instructions. I never gave any instructions. I'd never ridden in a race. Yeah. And what's the point of you telling somebody to do something when you've not done it yourself?
Yeah.
So I left that to the expert. So
then after 2002, come the following year, 2003, was there an expectation that you kind of had set upon yourself, or was it completely, this is a new year, let's see what happens?
Well, it was quite exciting, quite surprised we won the first one. And then the second one, we thought, I'm very superstitious. So I thought we'd better do everything the same.
Okay.
So I crammed myself into my same clothes and everything
same
else. So we did everything the same. But because he'd won a Gold Cup, people were quite interested in him. And quite a lot of people, there were no mobile phones. Everything was on fax machines, and people would just ring on the house phone, and people used to just turn up at our gates and just wander up the yard and say, "Where's best mate? Where's best mate?" So he never spent a night out in the field ever, because his owner had this absolute horror of thunderstorms, and he thought that he could get struck by lightning.
Really?
So then when he won his second Gold Cup, after that, people really got interested in him because could he ever win the third? And I mean, the postman was always bringing cards in.
Wow.
And people were always, nowadays it would all be on the mobile phones and on the texts and the social media.
You'd have an Instagram page, I imagine.
You probably would.
You'd have millions.
You'd have millions of Instagram pages. Yeah.
So we did everything the same.
And the same for the third one.
And the third one, yes, the third one. Wow. Well, by that time, because he was hot favourite for the third one, it was we had to get guards and things to security the night before, and so we got this night watchmen and
to make sure there was no.
And the whole yard was sort of patrolled because nowadays it's any time probably when there's a lot of money on horses, they can get. We think somebody could jump into his stable and
quite scary, really scary.
So he was always watching. He was on camera all the time.
Wow.
I mean, what I will say, because one of the things that struck me, and I think it's important, because I think people can have their sort of ideas of horses in training and things, but one thing that has really struck me with your horses is they have what we call beautiful top lines. I know you pick a good-looking horse, but the way you train them, and do you think you had an advantage because you had that all-round background of through the pony club, through eventing and things? Because I am aware that you're a great advocate for horses working in a correct way, having decent people doing some flat work, loose jumping them, hacking them and turning them out, and that I think is key also for a happy horse. Yeah,
I think you're dead right there, because I think it's so important that all the muscles are correctly developed. And, look at all the times that athletes and things go to the gym and do various things. And my horses, I was lucky because I had the eventing background and this training with Lars Sederholm and all the rest of it, and I knew how horses should go and look. And Lars was very, very good with the jumping, as you know, Pippa.
Yeah.
And, I thought, well, a racehorse, no different with a racehorse, it should jump like a properly schooled horse for show jumping or eventing.
What we mean by that, Tristan, is that you sort of train them in a way that they're allowed to use their body in the right way, because if they use it in the wrong way, they invert, they can't use their backs, and then it all is upside down. And
Lars always said they should move their feet very quick in front of a fence.
Yeah.
And pat the ground, he used to say. Yeah. And, the best race horses do move their feet very quickly, because if they're in trouble and they're making a mistake, they've got to move their feet. And it's like Pippa was saying, if they're in the wrong shape and the head's up here and up in the air and their back's all hollow and they've got no muscles, they can't get themselves into the right position to do it.
It's actually fascinating. So, forgive my ignorance, I obviously understand the kind of the human athletic element of kind of training. How does it work when you're training a horse? Do you have a very specific kind of training program that you put throughout the year, certain ways of training or kind of...
I think certain horses are naturally made in a certain shape, and they're very easy to deal with because they're already in what we call a rounded shape.
Yeah, and that's where we talk about the importance of conformation.
Yeah. And then you get sent a lot of horses come that have long backs and hollow backs and very high head carriage, and their necks haven't got much muscle on them, and they look a bit like giraffes when they're going round. Yeah. And those ones want training and bringing on. But even the ones that are made well, to get them made better, working even better, they do work.
So you'll specifically kind of choose what elements to practice and work on?
Yes, based on certain horses and the conformation and the way a horse moves.
Wow.
And also choosing the right riders to do it.
Yeah.
And we were lucky to have some good riders who'd been through the eventing world and done a bit of dressage, and they, about once a week or once a fortnight, each horse would probably do a bit of this individual training in an arena. And we do the same now. And certain horses don't need it, but a lot of them do. Yeah. And we've got a good event rider now who comes and helps us, and we used to have a good event rider. But I noticed that quite a number of people, after we did it a lot with Best Mate, in Ireland, a lot of people, the trainers, set up little clinics, sort of like what they call their sort of Best Mate clinics, how the racehorses could be taught to go in a right way.
Yeah.
It was the most amusing.
By doing all this sort of varied work and strengthening the horses, they're much less likely to pick up injuries, aren't they?
Well, they are,
because they're fitter and the muscle tone is better.
And the feeding, I think, is terribly important.
Nutrition.
I do all the feeding, actually, but probably because I always like food and I love cooking. So I cook for myself and lots of friends, and I love mixing up the feeds for the horses and getting them to look in the right shape.
Yeah. So you tailor their nutrition based on kind of what
each individual horse looks like. And actually, we were quite complimented when we did have the horses before, and I was training them. They always used to say, you could tell a Henrietta Knight horse in the paddock, because it always had a good rounded bottom,
I need some of your food, I think.
Well, you really could tell them. I mean, they stood out.
Let's talk about your showing career, your judging, that sort of thing. Has showing influenced the way that you view racehorses? Kind of, how did you get involved in that world?
I don't know really how I got into showing. I suppose I started off judging, being on the Shetland pony panel.
I think you even judged me. I think you judged me even when I did working ponies.
Yes, I did probably, yes.
And then I remember Hen judge...
Barnaby days.
Barnaby days, my first ever event horse. I remember. I think you even might have been one of the judges when I won the British Open at Gatcombe. I'm sure you judged the British Open at Gatcombe.
That was the showing.
No, that was actually eventing.
I did the dressage.
Yes,
I did.
Judged the eventing dressage.
But the actual showing, judging, standing in the ring and watching horses and ponies go by, that just evolved, and I got onto all these showing panels and did exams. And I suppose I went to most of the big shows in the country and in Ireland.
Yeah.
I judged at Dublin horse shows 7 or 8 times. Wow. I just love it. It's a most wonderful atmosphere. You meet so many different people from so many different walks of life.
Because obviously you've got a fantastic eye for horses, and you said that's from growing up around them and learning from the best. How much of that was inherent to you when you started judging the showing, or how much of that was learnt for what you should be looking for?
I think it was evolved from having learnt what a good horse should look like.
Yeah.
And then also talking to some of the experts who did the showing, what we were looking for.
Be really good, Hen, to get you down when we loose jump some of our 3-year-olds at the Billy Stud and get you to pick out and think, right, which one would you choose? It'd be really interesting to see.
Well, I probably wouldn't know enough about the actual show jumping side of it.
Yeah, but I still think,
Sure, the two of
you know, like you say about best mate, but there's something about them, isn't there? I think whatever, yes, for sure they've got to have scope, but they still want to be, light on their feet, don't they? And athletes to look at.
Yes, we've had so many in our loose jumping school, you've seen, and they all jump in a different way. And it's just, some of you say, wow, this horse can really jump, and you like it to do something else because it's just so good.
Can you send them my way? Because they jump a bit too big to go. I mean, I did have a fabulous little event horse that came out of training.
Did you?
So when you retired, you went for a long time.
11 years.
And what made you want to suddenly come back?
I suppose I was very competitive still. And I had so many lovely horses come from some of the top trainers for the jumping side. And some really good jockeys coming in and schooling them, which I call horseman jockeys, ones who had come up through the show jumping and things as well. And then they'd go back into training and they'd win at Cheltenham or they'd win at the big meetings and things. And I said, I just was itching to train horses of that calibre myself. And so I thought, right, I'm going to take out a licence, even though it's a very costly thing to do and it's a constant drain on the finances. I just love to train a few and
well, you've already had success.
Them.
And how did you get your licence? So surely were you fast track because you'd had a licence before?
No, because I had 11 years. If I'd been 10 years, it would have been I'd been fast track. Because it was 11 years, I was 1 year over. You know what people are like. Everything has to be exact.
Bureaucracy.
So I had to do these sort of modules on the screen.
I'm sure you were fine with that.
Well, I had a very good secretary. She got them all out. We had to do the multiple choice questions. She put them all up to me, and I said, right, we'll have that one, we'll have that one, we'll have that one. And then we had lots of inspections from the British Horse Racing Authority. And this wasn't right, that wasn't right, and the health and safety and.
Well, I think it's absolutely brilliant that you're back out training again, and I will be following with great interest.
Well, some think I'm probably quite mad. Like this morning, I set my alarm clock at 4 o'clock, and I was up and I was feeding the horses and doing things and getting all the feeds ready before I came up to have a talk with you.
But I'm sure you wouldn't change it for the world.
I wouldn't really.
She would have changed not coming here.
Maybe slightly later alarm.
You've got to have something to get up for in the morning, haven't you?
Completely agree. Yeah.
Well, if I had a horse that I wanted to put into training, I think you'd be one of the first.
Well, I tell you what, Pippa, you have to come and ride it and school it for me.
We've just made a
probably
deal.
Actually, do you know what? The one thing I keep on saying before I stop, I would love to have another thoroughbred. So if you've got any that you think are a little bit too slow, and in eventing, we now actually have a really good class.
I know,
someone with
Cornbury.
big money at Cornbury.
£50,000 first prize.
So have you got one that I could maybe?
Hen, I've just got 2 more questions before we run out of time. And this is more of a takeaway for those listening at home. Obviously, you've had an exceptional career as a trainer and many other things. What advice would you give to young people starting out now who wanted to become trainers? And how could they kind of pursue that dream?
Never give up. Always never be afraid of hard work, because never hurt anybody. And take advice from those who know more than you do.
Exceptional. Very good.
Very good.
Very good.
Great tips.
And then this one last little feature we have, which is actually a bit of a tongue twister, which is not a great start. And that is our top tack tips. Essentially, we want some practical advice for those listening at home for the best gear on the market or the piece of equipment that you couldn't live without or something that you find incredibly useful to do what you do.
A bridle.
For the horse?
Yeah.
A bridle for the horse.
Yeah, you couldn't do without that.
No, that is quite an essential piece of kit.
You can't do anything with a horse you haven't got a bridle. You can't.
Exactly.
You can ride it bareback, but you can't ride it. You want a bridle on it.
Very good
Exactly.
advice. Hen, thank you so much. It's been a very insightful episode.
It's been just absolutely brilliant hearing. I've always looked up to you, and just to hear your ethos and you know, if as I said, if anyone's listening, just follow Hen and look at her horses because they always look a picture.
They just got to be fast enough to win, haven't they?
What an amazing guest. I mean, I could have listened to Hen all day. She has achieved
amazing.
so much. And what we didn't get around to covering was actually she's also written 5 books. So anyone listening, watching, you can go and find those books. But she was just
Amazing.
awe-inspiring.
And funny enough, Hen actually made an interesting point there. She asked us where she can watch or listen to the podcast. We are available on all platforms where you'd usually find your podcast, Apple, Spotify. However, if you'd like to watch the podcast, which I highly recommend because I'm wearing some lovely clothes, I have to say, I'm drinking some lovely sparkling wine, YouTube is the place to do that. Did you know you can watch YouTube on the television these days?
No, I didn't. I thought it was just iPad.
iPad, laptop, phone, anywhere, on the tube, at home, on the sofa, in bed. Do you have a television in your room?
Yes.
Do you?
I watch early morning telly on that.
What do you watch at night? I'm actually intrigued.
No.
No.
Don't watch it in bed at night.
No. Is that the rule?
Try not to. Maybe the late night news. But anyway, back to Hen. So many lessons to learn from it. And I think one of the things I really took away was how much she's learnt from people with more experience on her way up when she was younger. A real, what I call, true horsewoman.
Absolutely. I think, for those listening at home, if you are inspired to join this equestrian world and whatever that may be for you, try and find somebody who has that experience and try and kind of connect with people who are out there to inspire and to educate, because there are so many people, and I think young people need to do it the right way. So that's great.
A great eye for a horse, and most importantly, she absolutely does it right by the horses.
Absolutely. And that's what we're all about, Talk Horse. Not that I'm qualified to be giving that message, but here I am.
So if you've enjoyed the episode, loved us talking horse, join in, subscribe now. We'll be coming out weekly. We love to hear from you.
Absolutely. And if you can, please do leave us a review because it really helps us canter up the charts.
Very good. Very good. So join us next time because we've got so much more to come. So many great people to talk to.
Absolutely. And if you want to ask us any questions, send us any anecdotes, please get in touch on info@talk-horse.com. We'd love to hear stories and we'd love to connect with you at home.
Bye.
Bye.